said the neoconservative approach to punishing Africa for daring to rise up against the conditions of neocolonialism are pretty apparent. The NATO forces want to invade Niger through their proxies in Nigeria. However, what is less clear is how the degenerate left wing of American hegemony wants to punish the Africans for rising up. And we have seen some chattering on X.com. We have seen some new separatist forces rising up along the archipelago of fake nations to peek their heads up over the past couple of years. Milkman, you want to tell us about the Twitter space you were in today?
Yeah, I checked out this Twitter space. It was the Prime Minister in exile, apparently, of Biafra. I sent you his Twitter account. If you load that up, maybe, I mean, he was like going off. He was talking about how we have to support Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Nigeria's dog shit. And he sounded really based. But I went to his profile and I noticed a couple red flags, which maybe you guys can spot them. Which made me sort of question this whole thing.
Which Twitter? Let me pull it up because there are a couple. There's always copies of.
His name's Simon Ekpa, which already anglicized first name, little sus.
Simon EKBA.
Yeah, PA. I sent it to you on Telegram.
Oh, you did. Okay. Yeah, as I'm pulling this up, once again to restate for people who are hopping on the stream now, Biafra is the fake country that was established back during the Nigerian Civil War back in the 60s to represent the Igbo nation of Nigeria, one of the three largest ethnic groups in Nigeria, a country which represents over 100 distinct ethnic groups. The Igbo wanting to have their own ethno-state separate from Nigeria, which sparked the Nigerian Civil War, both sides of which might as well have been funded by two different oil and gas companies, Shell and BP.
Right. Well, if you go on Wikipedia, they'll tell you Niger got its independence in 1960, but it's completely ridiculous because they elected a president, but he still had to swear allegiance to Queen Elizabeth. So that's not really some red flags here. If you guys can see,
maybe you can spot them.
Maybe you can spot the red flags, which made me a little bit suspicious of this whole situation. So
I got a feeling this is not the red flags we're looking for as communists.
Well, we can point him out. It's not just the giant Israeli flag in his banner. He's a Finnish politician, human rights activist, and government in exile. That which is also government in exile. That's like the Uyghurs, the Turkmenistan shit. That's
black Juan Guaido.
Yeah, I was about to say Guaido.
Yeah, but he is. In the space, he's clearly trying to appeal to like Thomas Sankara leftists. Like, I haven't seen this, but it's kind of long. But he's,
here
it's like he's decolonialism, Yeah, that's the space I was in. And I did a little research, and yeah, it makes sense that he has the Israeli flag because, well, anyway, 1960, not real independence. It's this fake. Yeah, you can have whatever puppet you want, but we control your currency, and if you pick the guy we don't like, we're going to assassinate him. And then in 1966, there was a coup in Nigeria, which was all the ethnicities were represented in this coup. It's the biggest ones are in the east is Yoruba, the south is Igbo, and then the north is the Muslims. And all of them came together, were represented by these different generals, overthrew this puppet, And pretty similar to what's happening in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger today. The British mobilized really quick. There was a counter coup a few months later, and they put in this puppet named Gowon, General Gowon. And then it's like we were talking about. We were talking about wherever the British go, ethnic conflict follows. And immediately they start spreading this propaganda. Oh, you could pull up the rest of the slideshow now. Yeah, it's bad. They start spreading this propaganda that the northern hordes are going to come massacre the Igbo in the south, and it's going to be a holocaust. It's going to be another Holocaust, which, you know, literal genocide. It's always literal genocide every time. And I guess they bought this shit, and this guy, I'm going to kill this name, but this guy who was the son of the richest man in Nigeria, educated at Oxford, Okudwo, I don't know. He said, we're gonna, to prevent this genocide, we're gonna start our own country of Biafra for the Igbo people, and they got funded by Israel, which is why this guy has an Israeli flag. And this was like the first Zionist-backed war, because Israel only became a player in 1967. So yeah, look at this shit. They hired 2 PR firms, one based in America, one based in Switzerland, to start pushing out this propaganda into Western countries, saying, I mean, I think this is the first time this happened, saying, oh, it's a Holocaust. There you go, 6 million. Dear God, not again. Indeed, I agree. Dear God, not again. A is for Auschwitz, B is for Biafra. I mean, there you go. And they got a lot of support from Western countries in 1967. This is right after Israel became a player, because they had that the 6-Day War. And they got a lot of funding from France and from Israel. I mean, this country wouldn't have existed otherwise. They were just pouring guns and aid. That's another thing. When they say aid, or we're sending aid to Africa, that usually means guns. Like, they hide it in the Red Cross trucks or whatever. They think they're slick. Yeah, they're sending guns. And there was this extremely bloody civil war for 3 years, from 1967 to 1970. And pretty much this ethnic coalition, which had taken power in 1966, was completely destroyed because of this ridiculous propaganda campaign that said, you know, it's Auschwitz. And they even, it went even further than this. They were saying they're like the lost Israelites, and they're like descended from Jews, and it's like the Jews of Africa, and like all kinds of crazy shit, because that's how Israel does it. And now, today, as Nigeria is like next in line in this coup belt, they're like reopening this old wound, which has gotten memory hold and people don't remember. Although if you were alive in the 60s, I'm sure you would have remembered this shit. It was a huge propaganda campaign. And it makes me think that the most important thing is war. They just want war. The Western powers want war by whoever, for whatever reason. Obviously, the easiest way to do that is like race war, ethnic conflict. But right now, these countries are flexing. They've got secure governments, so the West just wants to start a war, a bloody, awful war, so they can come in 5 years and pick up the pieces. That's what the British always do. And this fucking guy is a shill. I mean, why is he in Finland? He ran away to Finland? Like, what is that?
Another Nazi country.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, it was a total like play both sides things. You had Biafra, which was funded by the French and the Israelis, but General Gowon in Nigeria was funded by the British. So it was just have other people fight your war for you, weaken everybody, make everybody sick and tired, and then you come in, pick up the pieces, and the country's yours again. So it seems like that's what the objective is here. And they're going to bring in leftists with this shit. It's like the Kurds. It's like the Palestinians. It's like this oppressed ethnic minority. Oh, my heart bleeds for the Biafrans. And there you go. You got a weekend. I mean, Nigeria is the real jewel here. Nigeria is the real country they don't want to join this bloc. And this seems to me how they're going to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you start hearing about Biafrans more and more, and it's probably going to be another literal genocide. And it's just about starting a war. It doesn't matter who's fighting colonialism and who's fighting for communism or fascism or whatever. As long as there's a war, the West is going to be happy. And this Tinubu guy, to his credit, pussied out. Well, maybe to his credit, pussied out on Sunday, and his parliament wasn't with him. They don't want to start a war right now. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the day after they reneged on this ultimatum, this guy shows up and he starts a space being really belligerent, talking about how Mali and Burkina Faso and Niger, we're gonna, I mean, he was literally saying, like, we're gonna get in there, we're gonna kick everybody out of Biafra, we're gonna take it over. Sorry. And it's just about war. They pulled this guy out of retirement just because he's gonna start a conflict. And it doesn't matter if it's left or right. As long as there's a war, they'll be happy.
Tinubu, just for those watching who don't know, is the president of Nigeria, the one who was pushing for an invasion of Niger that shares a border. Both countries share a border. And whose troops, Tinubu was the one mobilizing troops on the Niger-Nigeria border to push for an invasion.
Yeah, what they're most scared of is that there will be a coup in Nigeria next. That's what they're terrified of.
I mean, when you look at the conditions of what's going on with all of Nigeria's neighbors right now, yeah, you're right. That they are terrified of there being a coup. Because let's be real, the political winds have changed. The U.S. and the West are no longer sitting as king of the hill, internationally speaking at least, right? They're no longer in a position where they can enforce their political will on the rest of the world. Now, they still can flex their muscle, but, they're losing their muscle capacity. The empire is on decline. The Roman Empire is declining. And as the Roman Empire, if you will, continues its decline, you're going to continue seeing African countries rising, Latin American countries are going to start rising. You're going to see a continuance of the rise of China and Russia, and you're going to see the continuance of the South Pacific even rising. I expect more things to be happening in the Philippines and Indonesia and Malaysia. I expect more things to be happening all across the so-called third world because the U.S. dollar is in decline. The U.S. has no means in which to continue extracting debt and natural resources, or really, frankly, anything anymore. All they can do is flex their big, giant military and put it places. And the military that they have, with the weapons that they have, are less advanced in comparison to other countries than it used to be. And frankly, they don't have the manufacturing base to reproduce their weaponry as quickly as other countries. The West is in decline. It's over. America's over. Europe is over. Canada is over. Australia, it's over. Africa's on the rise. China, Russia, India. These are the countries that are on the rise now. And the US and the West can only blame itself because they put themselves in this position. They could have had the opportunity after the Second World War to try to unify the world with the Soviet Union, and they chose not to. They decided, no, we're going to enforce our system of global monopoly capitalism that has turned into some sort of socialistic fascism, and we're going to continue to exploit the working people of the world. And this is their reward. This is what they have created, and they have to lay in the bed that they created for themselves.
It's so... it's so funny that, as soon, like Milkman said, as soon as, the president of Nigeria, President Tinubu, is frustrated, in its attempts to invade Nigeria, you have this separatism, this Zionization of colonized continents is the direction that that the imperial forces are going to be moving in. I pulled up a Twitter post here. I just heard about this. It's another NGO, big shocker. Another non-government organization funding for the balkanization of China and Russia. Similar origins as this Simon Ekpa character. The Free Nations of Post-Russia Forum. I don't know. Have you all heard of this? I'm just hearing about it today.
That sounds like a joke. Also, I just wanted to point out they were literally calling Biafra the Israel of Africa in the 60s. So you're right on with that Zionism comparison.
I mean, yeah, it's the ultimate goal of U.S. empire to destabilize all these mineral-rich, industrial-rich, and population-rich regions, so that they can't challenge the monopoly of the global metropoles. And Israel is the perfect, is the super soldier of destabilization, of war, of funding nothing but military machines to destroy other countries. Like, Israel has been the nucleus of destabilization in the Persian Gulf since its inception in 1948. So it makes sense that copy and pasting that same creation of ethnic supremacy and militarism would be, it makes sense that would be the main strategy, that they would be copy and pasting on other continents. So I'm going to pull this up because this isn't like I don't think it's a significant group according to some Telegram groups, but it just proves my point that the Zionization of these revolutionary forces is the next chapter of imperialism. The chapter to succeed neocolonialism. Once neocolonialism dies in Ukraine, Zionization will be the next strategy.
Oh, it's the same thing. Zelensky's been saying he wants Ukraine to be the Israel of Europe, or to be a big Israel. Like, they're explicit about it. Israel worked pretty well. It destabilized the Middle East. And now, on and on we go.
What you're seeing here is, this is the Free Nations of Post-Russia Forum, NGO, another spook organization. So this happened on August 1st, 2023 of this year. Various separatist groups from both mainland China and ethnic groups from Siberia met in Tokyo to discuss strategies against the People's Republic of China and the Russian Federation, held by this spook group. And this event was held inside the Parliament of Japan. It had the participation of members from the Japanese Parliament, like Yosuke Suzuki. I'm reading from Telegram. My Telegram group here. And it had the participation of Japanese opposition parties. So these groups, the vast majority of which are, liberal within their own countries, like liberal groups within Russia and within China. They're not popular. They don't even speak. They're not even popular among separatist groups in Russia and China. So, U.S. and NATO forces are hedging their bets to try and field as many separatist groups as possible to see which one takes root. Like, so this, so the representatives who came to the Free Nations of Post-Russia are just some random nobodies who signed a new declaration of alliance and mutual support against the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China, as long as it takes, as well as condemning the Russian imperialist aggression against Ukraine, their words, on what was called as the Tokyo Declaration, which declared the de-imperialization, decolonization. There are those words again that they're throwing at Russia. The de-imperialization, decolonization of the Russian Federation, and the liberation of all its peoples, the most important priority for the groups. The declaration also emphasized the need to sign a peace treaty between Russia and Japan, and to solve the problem of, quote, occupied Japanese northern territories, the Kuril Islands currently a part of Russia. Again, raising up these long, dead resentments. Like, I'm pretty sure that war over the Kuril Islands happened in the 1910s. I'm pretty sure that's pre-World War I levels of conflict. They just want to bring back up these.
Why would anyone even be concerned about some dinky islands north of Japan anyhow? I mean, what natural resources are there? Nothing. There's nothing there.
For naval encirclement. That's what it always is. Like the U.S. is doing this in the Strait of Hormuz in Iran right now. They're sending in 3,000 troops into the Strait of Hormuz. Again, it's for encirclement, just to keep them there, so that if they ever need to deploy military aggression, or if they ever need a base of operations for which they can train insurgents or spies, as getting as close as possible and covering as much of the perimeter as possible of these enemy powers, these revolutionary groups, is the point. Again, yeah, resources is no longer the point of imperialism, it's all destabilization. So, just to give you more of an idea of the free nations of post-Russia forum, again, everything you need to know about these groups is always in the banner. It's so funny.
Yeah, another NGO. That's the other thing. I was looking into this Nigerian Civil War today, and I'm just so shocked people don't talk about this, because it's also like the origin of NGOs. This is apparently where Doctors Without Borders first came from, and like where the Red Cross first became a big deal. And it just goes to show that like the history of Africa, and especially of like colonial meddling in Africa, is so buried and so memory hold here. And like it pisses me off so much when people just say like, oh, well, Africa, they're black and they're monkeys, and that's why they don't do anything. Because you're burying like so much history and intrigue and so much active like money and manpower that has been spent keeping Africa down. And you're just like writing that all away because you're racist. It pisses me off so much.
Yeah,
like, there's so much to know about this continent.
The amount of counterintelligence that went down after January 6th in American groups, American patriotic groups who had legitimate and correct concerns about the integrity of the election. You know, the largest FBI
watch out for
in
that.
history.
We're on YouTube.
These free and fair elections in the United States. The amount of counterintelligence that went down is, literally historical in the United States. The largest FBI investigation in American history. So, and people are now starting to recognize the power of counterintelligence, and now that it's affecting them directly here in America. But yeah, like Africa is just swarming with these NGOs, swarming with these non-government organizations who are the hotbed of counterintelligence.
Can I ask what the hell is in the middle of Russia with that appears to be an American flag? Why?
What is that, dude?
Like, what? It's like a green American flag.
I'm trying to find it on the ledger here on the right side of the image.
Shit. This is the glowiest shit I've ever seen.
So yeah, this is the decolonized map, the LandBack map.
The LandBack to America?
The Free Nations of Post-Russia wants these 50 different balkanized ethno-states. All of these represent a distinct ethnic group that live within Russia that would break away, that would secede from the Russian Federation and become its own ethnic state, a state which only represents one genetically distinct group of people, which is the most Nazi thing you can you can advocate for. But here it is in front of God and everybody.
Can I just make the very legitimate connection here between any kind of LandBack movement and pretty much all Wignats? Can we just accept that reality? This isn't the 1960s during the Black Panthers anymore. Like, this isn't a thing, right? All these LandBack leftists have everything in common, frankly, with Wignats. They can cope all they want. I'll even call a certain particular person out. Pedro X, okay? I've had my disputes with this guy. He's one of these LandBack idiots, right? And he insists, that I'm nothing like a Wignat. But this is the kind of shit that you guys end up supporting half the time. That's your side. And you're gonna tell me that there's nothing in common between Wignats and these LandBack fucking, nationalist movements? No, this is ridiculous. You guys are fucking morons.
Yeah, once again, the Barracks has been proven right in exposing the horseshoe between the degenerate left and the degenerate right, between the LandBack leftists and the Wignat alternative right.